session based on the theme New Media, New Job was moderated by Shri Sameeran Walvekar, Director of MIT-ADT University's International School of Broadcasting and Journalism. The session witnessed the participation of Shri Raghavendra Verma, producer of the ZDF German television, Shri Mubarak Ansari, the managing editor of Punekar News, Shri T. Surendar, managing editor of the Morning Context.
Nowadays, the treatment given to the content is getting changed very fast. Earlier in print journalism, it used to take that we used to make one script and again it is edited by the editor and again it is refined. Our golden rule is write, rewrite and write. And as he rightly said, Raghavendra rightly said, the content of this web journalism has been the same, but the treatment is getting different because the same content is also used for the copy as a written content on these web portals. Sometimes when you are interviewing person like Ambani, nowadays he's been shot on television, shot on camera also. The script is converted for the web and another part of video clip is also shown on the web. So the multi-purpose usage of the same content is the new key of new media. What's your take on this?
See, I mean, new media right now is exploiting a fundamental rule of eyeballs, right? So that is the business, fundamental rule of a new digital business. So if you get more eyeballs, they think that they will get more advertising and therefore. So if you just flip it around and say that you have wonderful content, will people pay for it? Then your content need not be reused, right? Suppose you have a picture of, say, Ranbir Kapoor, and it's a unique picture. You use it, say, 5 times in the week, and therefore you have traffic coming to your site. Vis-a-vis, you put that picture once and charge for it, and get the same amount of money from your... So, you know, this is a fundamental problem today. The reuse is a fundamental problem because the business model of the new media is not set out there. And therefore, people will have to go in for eyeballs and they will have to use the same content which has been successful maybe in the morning, once again in the evening. And I think that this is a process that will change over time because I think that today you are having few sites that attract people. Tomorrow, if say a reader has their favorites, that content will not be reused because they know that the reader will come, read my site and go back, and they will not go elsewhere. Today, there are no such sites that always keeps the readers with them. They are very fickle-minded. And therefore, I think that today, if you are saying that it gets reused, yeah, it's getting reused because of the fundamental nature of the business to attract eyeballs. But eventually, I feel that good content will be unique content and it will go in that person's name who has written it in that person's name and it will be monetizable as such.
You were talking few minutes back about the freedom and feedback. Am I right?
Yeah.
Do you really think so that the freedom has been given or freedom has been taken? Both ways, those who are doing and those who are controlling or owning the channel. Is really freedom given in that sense to the journalists who are operating on web or new media?
See, the thing is that once again, new media is there even in legacy media. Even Times of India has got new media. It has got a website. It has got. When I say new media, as in the new entrepreneurs in media, they really want to change the world, and that's why you've had a very big mistake in Wire because in their emergency to sort of put out the great story, they made that error of judgment, right? They always want to crack that great story, and that's always not there in legacy media because that great story may be stopped because it involves a very big brand, right? So the fundamental nature again of new media is to establish a business which is very unique. And the fundamental premise for that is good journalism. And therefore I feel that this new media is bringing back journalism in a very different way. There are lots of people observing it. You may say that, how can new media put out stories against big names? But say 80% of it may not put, but there are 20% of people who put those stories out and therefore you see them for the first time ever in the last 10 years, those stories which were never written before. about companies. I can say about business stories because those stories were never written before in those 10 years because none of the big magazines would ever publish a story against a big business house, right? Those stories are coming out today. At least in morning context, you can see every time we have a big story, we get almost 1 lakh rupees in subscription.
But Surendar, tell me one thing. Sorry to interrupt, but when we are having more than 925 channels in the country, I'm talking about satellite television channels. There are 16 to 18 groups, industrial groups, who are practically, directly or indirectly owners of either these channels or these digital networks. So don't you think so that has created certain amount of monopoly or maybe we can say crony capitalism in that?
See, it's like McDonald's, right? It took over the food world for a time till it ruled the world, right? Similarly, large media companies took over readers for a lot of time in the country. If you look at the best times in America, they had 3,000 magazines. They had a magazine for gardening. They had a magazine for housekeeping. And all those magazines did really well. And journalism really flourished because there were so many things to say, right? Now, all of that, because of one group controlling the entire finances of the journalistic world and the others not getting any money, Indian journalism has actually suffered for lack of capital. So you see that no other group has had as much money. A Hindu did not have so much money. So many other companies did not have money to actually do good journalism, right? That is only because one company hogged all the advertising. Today, that is now spreading to the internet. Internet companies and new media companies are slowly getting advertising revenue, and therefore they are able to come out and say that, oh, we can also say news. And I think that this is a good start once again, that we will see independent media coming back because this advertising revenue will not rule the media world,
Okay. Mubarak, coming back to your work, what you are doing right now, uh, in your name itself, you have taken name of this city, Pune. So your radius is very limited, very restricted.
Yes.
How would you differentiate your own freedom and expectations of people as far as the new media coverage is concerned? Because earlier you have worked in newspaper also, you have worked for television Z also, and now you are working this digital, this combination of all. There are visuals, there are photographs, there is a written script, there are anchors sitting on the streets telling about horrible traffic problems and all that. How would you define or how would you differentiate the way of working of any reporter in digital channel?
Sir, as I had earlier mentioned, it's only the medium which has changed. जैसे मैं पहले अगर यहाँ न्यूज़ रिपोर्टिंग करता था, I used to report on traffic then also for the newspaper, but it was very laid back, I will say. I used to move around the city for the whole day. I used to meet the people. I used to go to the police commissionerate and meet the police officers. And then I used to come to office in the evening and submit the report. But in digital media, if there is some issue, immediately we have to get the version of all the sites, like the people. Maybe directly we are talking to the people, or through Twitter or other social media handles, and we are immediately we are also calling the police officers, and we are reporting the thing. Whatever is there, it has to be real time. This is the only difference I have seen, that it has to be real time, and just we have to tweak the headlines a little bit to adapt to the demands of the digital media.
Raghavendra, how do you foresee the future changes in this digital media working as far as the journalism is concerned? Because there is a slight dilemma in our learning community, that is in students' mind. They think that, see, we have got special specifications about our specialized journalism. That is, somebody is interested in advertising, somebody is interested in television journalism, print media, or maybe public relation or any other types of journalism. So, how do you foresee the changes in the expected skills, basic criteria to enter in this field from students' point of view?
Okay, students have the basics of when you have the basics. Okay, what is news? First of all, what makes news, as I earlier said about your audience. Okay, if you're reporting for foreign media, local news, if it has to be of interest to foreign audience, first of all, it would be of a human interest or something which affect them. So those basics are there, and on top of that, you will build on how you communicate through the medium. And as you asked, what would change, how the medium would be happening? Well, when the internet came, and a lot of social media news, it did not completely replace television and newspaper. They were already there. So what the small news clippings was going on were people who were waiting for a bus or a train or in a taxi. They would just have few minutes in between which they were utilizing. So they had an extra avenue to read news or anything else. So the tasks of newspaper and television was almost always there. It's just that because people, when they saw the news on the mobile phone, they probably did not see that much of importance to switch on the television in the evening. But there are people who have been watching television only. Now, how, yeah, it's a big thing how it would evolve, who and how the students. Yeah, it's a big thing for me to see how it would evolve. But you should be ready to learn whatever is coming your way. What has evolved recently is, as I said, small news for mobile, which are more popular, and because you get immediate, very accurate count of how many people viewed that, how much revenue it is coming. So it's a good thing in that sense. There was
I think Surendra wants to add something. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is that look, when journalist students look outside and say that YouTube creators are creating fantastic videos, they're creating news, they say that why should I do a journalism course? If you think that a journalism course is not important, perish that thought. I'm giving you that example of a fashion journalist. I mean, she's a fashion journalist for a leading magazine newspaper. I asked her, look, why do you have a job in one of your newspapers and why do you have a job in a magazine? Isn't your job redundant? TikTok is doing a better job of fashion. So is Instagram. So why do you have to go and report? Somebody else is reporting and so many people have better views than you have. She said the problem is that all of these people come and go. They are there today, they are not there tomorrow. Some may create a brand, some may not create a brand. And many of them are associated with brands funding their exposure in all these social mediums. And therefore, a journalistic attitude is necessary today more than ever to discern what is the right thing. And therefore, in all the digital medium, if you say that, okay, news is there, a journalistic capability right now is the most important thing for journalists to learn about, right? And that is what makes the fundamental difference of what a new journalist will be. Being able to see across platforms, being able to see across TV, across TikTok, across Instagram, and then coming out with the right story. Suppose somebody say that this sort of a dress is very fashionable, and that is the opinion of a TikTok person. She has to actually go and find out whether that is really true or not, and tell the readers that this is just a hoax.